Thank you for inviting me here today to discuss the Office of Inspector General's reviews of accrediting agencies' standards for program length in higher education. This is my first opportunity to testify before Congress since my March confirmation as Inspector General, and I look forward to working with this committee to help ensure that federal education programs and operations meet the needs of America's students and families. As requested, I will discuss OIG work involving standards for program length and the definition of a credit hour, critically important issues in the federal student loan program, as the amount of federal aid a student can receive is based on the number of credit hours that a student is enrolled in. This issue has become even more significant as online education has exploded in recent years, making credit hour assignment difficult, its comparison to traditional classroom delivery difficult and a challenge, and its value increasingly important to ensure that students and taxpayers get what they're paying for. The OIG has conducted extensive work involving accrediting agencies for over 2 decades because the role of these agencies play is vital. Accreditation is one of the primary requirements for an institution's participation in the federal student aid programs and determines whether academic programs merit taxpayer support. The Department is dependent on accrediting agencies to ensure that institutions provide quality, content, and academic rigor at the post-secondary level, as it is prohibited from determining the quality of education funded by federal education dollars. All the Department can do with regard to evaluating the quality of post-secondary education is recognize accrediting agencies as reliable authorities for the quality of education funded by federal dollars. Thus, the recognition of accrediting agencies by the Secretary of Education is the primary tool available to the Department for ensuring that students receive value for the taxpayer investment in post-secondary education. We conducted our most recent work on accrediting agencies last year in order to provide the Department and Congress with information regarding the definition of a credit hour for recent negotiated rulemaking sessions. We examined 3 of the 7 regional accrediting agencies to determine what guidance regarding program length and credit hours they provided to those institutions and peer reviewers. The 3 accrediting agencies we reviewed represent 1/3 of the institutions participating in federal student aid programs, over 2,200 post-secondary institutions receiving more than $60 billion in federal student aid funding. We found varying levels of guidance related to the issues we looked at. For example, the Southern Association of Colleges and Schools provides guidance regarding program length and the required number of credit hours. However, the other 2 agencies did not set minimum requirements related to program length. Most significantly, we found that none of the agencies established a definition of a credit hour. Their failure to do so could result in inflated credit hours, the improper designation of full-time student status, the over-awarding of federal student aid funds, and excessive borrowing by students, especially with distance, accelerated, and other programs not delivered through the traditional classroom format. At 2 of the accrediting agencies, we were told that student learning outcomes were more important than the assignment of credit hours. However, these 2 accrediting agencies provided no guidance to institutions or peer reviewers on acceptable minimum student learning outcomes at the post-secondary level. Currently, the student aid programs are primarily dependent on the credit hour for making funding decisions, as are other forms of aid, including state student aid programs and certain programs administered through the Department of Veterans Affairs. To help address this issue, the Department just released a proposed rule that contains a definition of a credit hour. Once a final rule is adopted by the Department, we will be closely watching its implementation and evaluating whether the definition of a credit hour is effective in protecting students. This concludes my statement. I'm happy to answer any questions.